Hey, what's up, guys? Today I'm going to be answering questions about the last 10 years. I'm going to be talking about how I started as a wholesaler and now developer and everything in between. So maybe if you watch this entire video, you'll learn something that you never knew. So what made me decide to get into real estate? Well, let me back up a little bit because a lot of people don't know that I actually got into real estate when I was 21 years old. So after I left the United States Air Force, I actually went to sales school and broker schools. North Carolina used to be two separate schools. Went to sales schools, broker school, back to back. This was like the last time you could do this. And then I was a real estate agent at a brokerage. And then my second year, I started my own brokerage where I did property management. That was my real introduction into real estate. So I did real estate for few years until the crash happened, 2007, 2008. And I ran away from real estate then. I think a lot of people did. And you know, life happens. I hit rock bottom. 2016, I find myself wanting to get back into real estate. I knew there was money to be made. So I was wanting to be on the investor side, but the problem is I had no money. So then I discovered wholesaling. And from there, you know, I never looked back after that. So how I went from a wholesaler to a developer, I wouldn't say like we still try to do some wholesale deals. Not on purpose, if that makes sense. Like there's just still residuals of wholesale deals that come in because of the 6, 7, 8 years of hard work and relationships that we built. So we still get homes coming in, but the transition into developer was literally me taking a break. So after wholesaling for like 6 years, I took a break away from really everything. And like life happens, right? I got married, I have a kid. You might even hear him during this video, you know, and I moved from United States to United Arab Emirates, and I moved to Dubai, and all of that happened in that 2 years. And really COVID slowed it down. And I just was like, you know what, I'm gonna take a break. I'm really just gonna focus on myself. And I got married, like I said, and all those other things. But the transition happened when I live in Dubai, and I used to just be in Dubai, especially at night, you'll see towers, and company named Emaar is just there, like everywhere. They're one of the, I think they are, matter of fact, they are the biggest developer in the UAE and probably one of the top ones in the world. And I just got inspired by how they built stuff and how they were everywhere and they were so dominant. And the transition into developer really started as a vacation. You know, so moving to Dubai and then visiting Zanzibar as a tourist, and then taking that, you know, when you're on vacation as a real estate investor, you're always looking at real estate opportunities. We looked at an opportunity. It presented itself maybe for my own house. It evolved into doing something more. And I was already financially secure just from wholesaling and all my other businesses previously. And so I said, you know what, I'm gonna give it a shot. Why not? And I've learned a lot of stuff. So let's put the math to it. So it turned from one house to 45. And then now we're doing 120, and our next project's 300. And the transition, I would say, is just it's the evolution of real estate, depending on where you want to be, where you want to end at. So the moment that I realized that I was actually had a real estate wholesaling business is when deals started coming month after month, right? Because it's easy to kind of do it like one time, 2 times. But when we started to get 2 or 3 or 4 deals closing in a month, I realized, okay, I actually have a business here, and I need to start hiring some people that help me manage some of these tasks and me focus on those things that make money. And so when I would say the aha moment for me is when we first got to 3 to 4 deals a month. So like that's 1 a week. And you're like, okay, I need to start hiring here because this is no longer just side hustle. This is actual business. For me, the hardest part about getting started in real estate in general is kind of overcoming your own mental doubts. You doubt yourself because this is something you've seen other people do that you've never seen somebody maybe that you knew did it, or, you know, you kind of have a lot of self-doubt. I think that's where most people struggle with anything they try to start, is the self-doubt. So I think the biggest struggle for me was overcoming my own fears of, can I actually do this? Is this something that I can actually do? And I think once I got over that and I got my first deal, then I came over that fear very quickly. Yeah, the self-doubt comes from no experience because you've never done it. You don't know anybody who's successfully done it, and you're trying to do this thing on your own for yourself and nobody there to really help you. So yeah, the doubt comes from no experience, and kind of how I overcome that is basically finding somebody to latch to, whether it's just watching all their videos or whatever it is. Like, you need to find somebody that you can just study. And I think the obsession of wanting to learn it, I learn it. Like, for me, it started out listening to podcasts. Every free moment I had, I was listening to podcasts, and I had like a couple people that I would listen to. So every time they dropped something, it would be like how people wait for new Netflix series to drop. For me, that's how it was when I had the podcast. I was because remember when I was learning in 2016, maybe 2015, there was not a lot of information out there, and definitely not a lot of information that were free. Like, you could just go on YouTube and learn all this information like we did back in 2015, 2016. So you had to have money, which I didn't have. I couldn't pay for courses or pay for these seminars. And so for me, it was like, okay, I got to figure this out. So every free podcast where they gave away one little thing, I took that and added to it. So yeah, I would say for sure you need to, how I personally overcame it was becoming obsessed, learn as much as I can, and then actually putting those things that I was learning to action. And as one thing worked, it does work. The next thing worked, the next thing worked. And next thing you know, you kind of string everything together and you have something legit. What mistakes did I make in the first year? I mean, I think in your first couple years of business, you're going to make tremendous amounts. I mean, listen, I still make mistakes today, like whether it be small or, small mistakes, but mistakes, I would say, even like underestimating what it takes to learn how to find and spot a good deal, like learning how to run the numbers, underestimating what it took, the knowledge that you have to have of a certain neighborhood or city or town in order to be able to really identify a deal. So I would say early on, the mistakes was maybe not studying enough in certain points, like understanding it, and maybe not networking enough to where, you could get it early. And that was some of my mistakes. I could do a whole show just on my mistakes, but that's probably some of my early on mistakes. I think the biggest misconception that I have about real estate investing, and really many people, is you need a lot of money to be able to start investing in real estate. It's not true. There's so many different types of investing in real estate. So let me just say that. And some people will argue that wholesaling is not investing in real estate. This is not the show for that. But I would say that you don't need a lot of money to be able to invest in real estate. I think it takes what's the most important thing in real estate altogether is identifying a deal. If you identify a deal, there's somewhere you can put yourself in that deal in order to make money. And then if you continuously do that, then you'll have money to buy rentals, buy flips, buy whatever you want in the real estate. So you have to start somewhere. Now, that's the reason why I love wholesaling, because it really boils down to your grit and your determination to learn. Because I've seen people come ready with 100,000, 50,000, and they fail, and somebody start with nothing, and they turn out to have a successful career. For me, I would say when things started to click for me is like when I was consistently getting deals, is because I honed in on a particular distress type of deal. And for me, it was probate. When I studied probate and understood probate from the level that I understood, I could replace the people that were working in the probate office in my county. And for me, when I figured out that thing for me inside of probate, like how do I find out if they have property and who the heirs are and who's the administrator of the estate, when I found that document that had all of that, and that document was never published online, you had to go down and find that physically, that was my aha moment. It was like, I could run this game by just not telling nobody. And I have a couple, even like when I was just driving in a car one Sunday and I thought, what if I can get a list of all the homes that don't have water? Because you need water to live in a house. Electricity you can get by, but water, you need some type of water at least. And that was another aha for me. Surrounding yourself with the right people is single-handedly probably the most important thing you can do as any type of in anything in life, but particularly in business and even more particularly in wholesaling or real estate investing. It's important. It's one big community, and if you're in the right circle, there's no competition amongst that circle. We're all sharing things. Even at the level that I am now in real estate development, we're sharing tips and tricks, sourcing, where do we get this material from, where are you sourcing your cement, steel bars, all these things like that we share. So surrounding yourself with the right people that will push you along is single-handedly probably one of the most important things you can do as a human, for sure. You know, for challenging moments for me when I was in wholesaling, I mean, they come and go all the time. There's be times where you can be rocking along, getting 3, 4, 5, 6 deals a month, and then your lead source dries up or something is wrong with your ads, your campaign ads, or something is wrong and you dry up, right? And this is when you start to get bigger if you get to this road. And I wouldn't recommend people going down this road, but you start to have expenses and these, and you need to be able to have a number of deals to be able to cover. And when something changes and you're not paying attention to it, and then it starts to slow down, you get frustrated. You get to the point like, man, do I really know what I'm doing here? So if you ever experience that, it's normal. It's so normal. Just roll with it, because you're going to have these ups and downs. Obviously, everyone wants to be consistent. So just pay attention to the details, and I promise you, you'll get there. Yeah, quitting, of course. When those hardships come, you feel like, man, this is it. This is the end of the road. You know, as a human, as an entrepreneur, there's so many times you feel like just tossing everything up and walking away. And I think maybe we don't talk about that as enough. I think we only highlight a lot of the wins, but for sure, there is, even these days, like I run across, even though I'm doing $45 million in development project, there's even days when things happen, whether it's work related, like HR related, human related, or things that just frustrate you in the procurement of this or getting that. Yeah, you get to the point where you're just like, man, is this all worth it? I think any entrepreneur that tells you otherwise is lying, because you really get to the point sometimes where you just want to be like, I'm done. But for those who stick it through and actually don't quit, that's when you start to see that shining light, the ones that don't give up. My personal opinion, that technology, in my opinion, I think maybe done more harm than good for the perception and the image of the industry. And the reason why I say that is because people started out with all this technology and thought that it would take them to the promised land, in the sense of like, you have deals just flowing because you bought this software and you did this. And I don't want to sound like no old head OG, because I've only, discovered wholesaling in 2015, 16. But for me, internally, software was great because it took a lot of mundane tasks and things that took so long, it made it much faster. But the fundamentals, the core, the underneath of understanding wholesaling was there. So it added to us. For those people who started out with it, when that software goes wrong or it doesn't perform like they thought it would, it becomes the industry's fault. It becomes the software's fault. And I believe the barrier of entry became so low that it brought in people that never really cared about doing the business. It was like, buy this software, do this, make money. And there has to be some sort of passion involved with real estate, because if not, then you're not going to stay long, because you're going to have days where you just want out, because it gets tough sometimes. Tools and systems that I think 100% made life easier, and I swear by, is like skip tracing. I was one of the pioneers that brought the idea of uploading an entire list and you getting that list back. So for me, skip tracing was it. And also like these all-in-one platforms like the beautifully curated data platforms that you can click a button, find out who owns it, equity, blang, 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 search the neighborhood. Those type of platforms made it easier for us to be able to take 3 hours worth of work and turn it into 3 minutes. So I think those are mainly the two main softwares you need for sure. So prop tech, which is property technology, but overall, like technology in real estate is a game changer. I hate to say it, but if you're not in that direction now, you're going to get left behind for sure. But also, I believe that technology now, particularly artificial intelligence, I know this is a buzzword, AI. Using AI in your business today makes you have to hire less people. And not only that, it creates automations that used to all run through, like, I don't know if people even remember this. They used to have this software called If This Then That. If this happened, then do this. Or there was one software, it's still live, that everything kind of ran through that as I may be talking nerd stuff now, but like as a fetch or as some type of API call. But right now, especially living in Dubai, AI is widely adopted. Like they're not shying away from it. So I'm seeing it implemented in everyday tasks, from when you go see things done with the government and everyday life. Like here, you can go get your license in a vending machine, like your license renewed from a vending machine. So even just the overall world. But for sure, if you're using AI, and I know this is a broad term, but especially particularly when it comes to lead qualifying, automated tasks such as follow-ups, text messages are kind of like old school now, especially if you're being able to sell green, when you have an Android, the green text messages. But those type of things, if you're not using AI to make these things, then you're hiring too many people to do simple tasks. And now we have, in my businesses, not only real estate development, but a lot of it's AI driven. A lot of the tasks that we used to have to hire for, we no longer do that. Doing a lot of community things for me since the beginning of my real estate journey has helped me, because I've been able to find like-minded people. Remember, because I talked about surrounding yourself with the right people is important. And so by doing these meetups and pop-ups and all of these, I think I really invented that in real estate, by the way. Not meetups, but like these pop-ups. Like, hey, I'm gonna be in your city this day, next 2 days, make sure you're there, free of charge. I think doing those, I met some cool people. Brian, y'all know of House Buying Brian, and a lot of people I could think of. Nas, Chris Jeff, like all of these people, I met some cool people. B Rule, a lot. I could just keep naming people, right? And so doing those events and doing those things in those communities have really helped me along the way. And I'm able to reach out to those people that I met 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 years ago and be like, yo, I remember you doing this. Can you help me with X? And those people are more than welcome to help you. So I think doing those community events and meeting like-minded people allows you to surround yourself with important people that are important to you. I would say in 2025 now, basically where we're at, if you want to build your own community and surround yourself by the right people, I think it's going to be important to attend some of these traditional events, whether it's a local RIA, which means Real Estate Investment Association, I believe, and meetups, and being intentional about these events that you go to, not just ones where people are trying to sell you something. And even though sometimes you'll meet other people in the crowds. And I think one of the most misconceptions about attending these events, whether it's a paid event or a free event, you think the most important person you're going to go see is standing on the stage or with the microphone. It's actually the people that are sitting beside you. And that's how you build your own community of like-minded people for yourself. So attend these events, go outside. Go outside, and you need to network, because I can't stress it enough. It's probably one of the most important things you could do is network. And that's in business and life, period. Yeah. So as an investor, particularly a wholesaler, all the way up to fix and flipper, landlord, all of that, the skills that helped me in those categories particularly were, one, identifying a deal. I think that alone is the key principle in real estate, identifying a deal. And so when you are an investor, you have to creatively look at things that other people overlook to be able to find deals. You got to be able to look in the nooks and crannies, the crevices to be able to find stuff. As a developer, you have to do the same thing because it starts out with a feasibility study. Like every project starts with a feasibility study, which is basically you trying to figure out, can you make what your imagination has brought up into real? And so as a developer, a lot of those skills came over, and then also like people. Development is a big people game. It's a big people game. So the network skills that I've made as a wholesaler in order to find buyers and get introduced to different types of sellers, and networking with this person that can get you this type of list or this data and information, that transcends directly into developing. You're a people person. You got to be able to believe something when something's not even there. And so those skills from wholesaling and being an investor into a developer is definitely a thing. I think the mindset between an investor and a developer, there's some difference. An investor is looking for the deal. A developer creates it. You got to have a vision to be a developer, because you're taking a raw piece of land and you're creating something that somebody potentially is going to want in the future. So you got to be able to kind of see into the future a little bit. Development is risky. Development is very rewarding. But the mindset between the two, like I said, one's looking for a deal and one creates it. So yeah, as an investor, you create opportunity with your creativity. But as a developer, you're literally creating opportunity for all people and more than just investors. I mean, you create commercial, residential, live, work, play. You're developing entire communities that will house hundreds or thousands of people. So you have to kind of live in the future to be a successful developer, because you need to be able to see, especially projects. Projects take, 2 years, sometimes a year if it's a small project, 2 years if it's a big project, to get to the finish line. So if you're not ahead of the curve by the time your project comes out, it's launched, it's done, you're already behind if you didn't think 2 years, at least 2 years ahead. For me, so far in Zanzibar, one of the most rewarding things of doing a development there is the people. Right now, we have over 200 employees. Let me break this out. So we have a development section of our company and we have a construction. So we have a full-fledged construction company with the best class 1, I think it's class 1 or class A license you could have in that country. And hiring locals, giving them technology such as tools and new tools and updated tools that they've never seen before, and watching them learn it and then use it is amazing, because they adapt to that technology quickly and they realize they can do things a lot faster. So for me, the most rewarding thing so far is being able to find local, in Zanzibar we call them fundis, which is like, I guess you would call it contractors or workers in the States. You take them and teach them a skill, give them technology to make them faster, and then they go from this level to this level to this level. And you could start out at this project, laying block, and you may end up being like the supervisor, foreman or something like that by the next project. So the advancement of the people, introducing construction technology and resources, and believe it or not, every manager that works in the field, whether it's a construction manager, the equipment manager, all of these managers that work in there, the engineers, obviously, they all have a company subscription of ChatGPT and some other AI tools to kind of streamline some of their problem solving on the go. So very, very cool, but rewarding itself is the people, I think, is the most. And secondly, I would say is coming up with something from your head, right? You see a bushy piece of land, and then 5 months later, that bushy piece of land has got foundations on it. 2 months later, it's to a certain level. And like, if you look at my computer screen right now, the background of it is the development at its current project stage. And that's like to compare where it started and where it's at. So being able to think of something and then actually see it in front of you in real life is very rewarding as well. Looking back over the last 10 years in real estate, wow, 10 years in real estate as an investor now, almost 10 years. Looking back, I would say one of the most things I'm proud of is not giving up. reinventing myself, taking the lessons that I've learned from success and failures and turning those into more lessons and more success, I think is the most important thing. A lot of people that started out wholesaling in 2016, 17, 18, 19 are no longer doing this. They moved on to crypto, NFTs, e-com, all these other things. And there's nothing wrong with that. I'm not throwing no shade, but I think not giving up and being able to parlay my information and all the stuff I've learned into where I'm at now. And I love this phase of real estate. And my goal is to become the largest real estate developer in East Africa and Africa in itself, which is 1.4 billion people right now. The most valuable lesson I've learned, and the most valuable lesson I'm still learning, is how to manage a team and people. I don't think you ever master that. I think at best you can be comfortable at some points, but being able to lead at the front and be that type of leader, I think is something that is, man, if you have that skill, more power to you, because it's a very important skill to have. So learning that every day, I think, is very important. If you wanted to get into real estate today, first you need to identify what part of real estate you want to be. But let's say you want to be an investor. You need to become obsessed. Think of something in your life that you've most been obsessed with and 10x that. That's how obsessed you need to be with learning this. It needs to become every waking minute you have, you need to put towards that. And because that's when it clicks for most people. That's why you see like people in the gym, like it clicks for them and they just love it, bro. And their body looks amazing. For me, I hate the gym. That's why I look like this. But for people where things click, right? You got to let it click. And I think by clicking, you got to allow yourself to have that obsession. And so you need to be obsessed with trying to learn, obsessed with trying to be great, pack all this information into you, and then go out and do it. Because the next most important thing is taking action. A lot of people like to use learning as a procrastination tool. And you really should, especially this day and age, how fast things move. You need to be learning, applying. Don't sit in your room for 4 or 5 months learning something. Like, you need to learn and apply. And if you don't, you're going to learn and die because you're going to get left behind. This world doesn't wait on anybody. And the way technology is moving, I promise you, if you don't move fast enough, what you're even learning is going to be outdated. Listen, if you're just getting started and you want to avoid the mistakes I made, I would say find somebody that you look up to, somebody that you respect, somebody that you believe or trust, and allow them to teach you the lessons that they've learned from the mistakes that they made. I think there's a quote that goes like this. I could be wrong. A smart man learns from his mistakes. A wise man learns from other people's mistakes. So if you have the opportunity to learn from what someone else did, I think it's better you do that so you don't have to understand yourself. My mom would say, I can't even think of it. But anyways, the point I'm saying is try to learn from other people's mistakes as much as possible. You're going to make your own mistakes for sure. Make sure and definitely learn from those. But, join, when I was doing this, like these communities, I had a Facebook group, 122,000 people. It's big now, but it's too big. It's not good anymore. But it used to be where people would come in there and they would try to learn and ask questions and get those questions. I created a new group that I'll put a link in the bio that I'm basically transferring the people that actually want to help other people into this new group. And it's a safe space. I don't care if your question is, how do I get the price on this? Or how do I pull this? Or how do I understand this? I think this is a place where you can understand. But then you have local, your friends, find a pocket of people who you can rock with that want to do the same thing you do. Like, if your friends don't serve you in where you are in your life anymore, limit the time you spend around them. Find some new people. We have a community called Wholesaling Inner Circle, where it's just people who are helping, people who are learning, all different levels of knowledge, really. And you can start there. Start there from your bedroom. Start there from your iPhone and join. It's free. Remember, it's free. This is not how I make my money. I know a lot of people do this now to sell things. And when I started this in 2016 and 2017 on YouTube, it wasn't about a course. I ain't got no course. it's really about making sure that wholesaling goes back to its original, intention of helping people get money and start their business. It's a lot of noise out there, but for someone who has been in the game, I don't know how many people can say that. I've been around for a long time. Not a long time in real life years, but a long time in as investor years, because we've seen a lot of people come and go. So now that we're here talking, for sure. Man, if I can go back and tell myself, if I can go back 10 years from today and talk to myself, I think one of the things that I would definitely say is go harder. Like, you're winning. Go, whatever you're applying yourself to, apply it 100 and 200%. Because I don't regret the path that I've ever taken, for sure. I think everything lined up for me. I'm 40 years old. My son is 1. I think that's perfect for me. Other people do it the other way around. But I would say go hard, go harder, because there's a lot of opportunity out there, and there's still a lot of opportunity. But if I could go back and tell my 30-year-old self to get started, would be go harder for sure. Trust the process. This has been fun, like sitting down with you guys and kind of thinking back for 10 years worth of questions and trying to sum it up in one YouTube video. But maybe I'll do more of this in the future. Maybe you guys can ask questions below in the comments, and I'll once a month take those questions and pile them together into a video. But I think this has been cool. But if you want to walk away with something from this video, I think it's when you want something, become obsessed with it. Surround yourself with people that would be beneficial to what you're trying to achieve, and trust the process. People like myself even sometimes want to give up through this whole journey that I've been through, want to give up. And imagine what happened if I would have gave up. So don't give up. Trust the process. Surround yourself by people that matter to what you're trying to achieve, and you just become obsessed, and you have no option but to really succeed. That's it. So if you're new to this channel, I hope this recap was good for you to understand where I've came from. If you liked it, hit the subscribe button, like the video, share it with a friend. If you're an OG here, I appreciate you watching. More videos to come. See you guys. Peace.